Cowtown. We call it the downward spiral at the moment. Dylan and Chris from the Armchair GM Podcast. We're going to discuss it. Brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network.
Well, Chris, since last time we talked, the Flames have had a few games, four to be exact. Honestly, one of their most dominant games of the season, I would say, against St. Louis. The second game against St. Louis, the 4-1 win. And somehow turning a 6-1 lead into a 6-5 close win against Dallas, which was terrifying. And then just two lackluster performances against Nashville and Colorado. I'd say tied for the worst effort of the year, the Colorado game.
Yeah.
So they're continuing to do this thing where they win a couple, lose a couple, get a couple OT points, but they never actually go on a decent run, and they fail to show up at the beginning of games, and it's just the entire fan base is frustrated and pissed off, and Sutter's frustrated and pissed off, and you and I are frustrated and pissed off, and
I think the tone in your voice says it all. The first two games that you brought up were pretty decent performances, and it was somewhere near maybe 3 minutes left in the game on Saturday against the Stars, where really it took a turn. They came out super strong against the Blues on the second game or second effort of last week.
Again, best game of the year. I honestly think that.
Yeah, they came on strong. They started really dominant against Dallas. What did we score? It was like 28 seconds in, or like it was super fast.
It was super quick, yeah.
So we came in really dominant, and then all of a sudden it seemed like there was a comfort level that they had when they shouldn't have. It's still professional sports. You're still required to play a full 60 minutes of every game, because if you don't, that game was like seconds away from losing in overtime against Dallas.
100%. 25 seconds in, which was actually a really nice. That's how dump and chase forechecking is supposed to work.
Right.
That opportunity came from that, and that line is very good at it.
Yeah. Well, they are, right. You have Backlund, who is always responsible in all three zones.
Yeah.
You have Coleman, who is a hell of a forechecker.
He's like a Wolverine, I like to say.
Yeah, and also good in all three zones. But he really attacks the puck aggressively in the offensive zone.
He does,
which is what you want from your third line guys, second line guys. Those types of players.
All right? Of your lines,
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Give Mangiapane credit. He was doing pretty good there for a few games. Any regular listeners of the podcast would know that Chris and I are not a fan. Well, definitely both of us are not a fan of Mangiapane. But given credit, he had 3 or 4 really good games. I'd say easily the best stretch of hockey he played. Yeah. Followed by 2 fucking shitty games.
Yeah, I even ate a bit of crow there, a couple of games ago, because you know what, I've been saying it all season long. I've been saying it for a few years, but a lot this year about how Mangiapane is, essentially he's been playing, in my opinion, to what I think he is as a player. All the years minus last year, he's on this same, point projection, if you will, and
super
so
streaky and not just points wise, but
yeah, that's
good
right.
play wise.
That's right. Yeah,
Yes.
good effort, and that's sort of probably a bad choice of words. I
No, he always
won't
gives
fault
you
his
effort.
effort.
He just
Yeah,
doesn't have the
the
skill
abilities.
set to
That's right.
match. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. And then he really, I mean, I think maybe 5 games, 4 games for sure, where he was looking like he was ready to kind of start rolling with it, and then and then in the game against Nashville and the game against Colorado, just back to the same, right? Getting pushed off the puck, not being aggressive, and and ultimately not blaming him for the losses, but
Oh no, not at all.
but that's 2 losses, right?
Yeah.
So when the team starts drawing back and not being aggressive, and quite frankly showing absolutely zero emotion, there's no urgency on this team whatsoever. Even on the games that we win, I find the urgency is about half and not
Yeah.
where it should be.
Yeah,
They're
I can get on board with that for sure.
yeah,
It's
and
not the pedal
so
doesn't stay down.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're very content in coasting, and that it's super frustrating to watch as a fan. I'm sure it's super frustrating from a coaching standpoint. How he's not able to get through to them is baffling to me, to be honest. Um, we all know how hard nosed Daryl has kind of been in his career. I don't know if he's softening up and maybe that's what's causing it, but I mean, if ever there's been a time you want to kick over a garbage can in a locker room between periods, now's the time.
Any of the
Like,
last few games, probably.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, we're well over midway of the season now, and they have zero identity. Like, what are the Flames right now?
Is that a question you'd like me to answer, or is
I
that
mean,
just a blanket
uh,
statement?
both, and it's a question for everybody watching.
Yeah.
Put that comment in in uh in the thread below. What are the Flames right now? Like,
Yeah.
I know what I think the Flames are, and I think they're not even a bubble team. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs
No.
unless they change something. And I'm not
Yeah.
talking about personnel. I'm talking about attitude amongst the entire team.
Nobody seems, and I know this is just coming from a guy who's watching, right? Like I'm not there. I don't see what's going on in the room, but it doesn't look like anybody's happy to be there. Whether it's game or practice or whatever. Just from interviews and body language, and like I was having this argument online with somebody the other day. They were saying like, oh, Lindholm's just there to collect his millions and not no, he's not losing any sleep over the shitty play of the team. And I'm like, if you like watch or listen to his interviews, his body language and the tone in his voice when he's answering questions, he's not having a good time. They're like, and it's not because he's not trying. They're all trying. They're just like, he just isn't having a good time this year. Um
I mean, in
and
his defense,
I would bet he loses a ton of sleep.
I would imagine too. I mean, he doesn't like losing. We know that.
Yeah.
Elias Lindholm is a winner. He thrives on that good feeling and that emotion of winning
He does.
and being happy. Like, he's a completely different player when we're playing at 700 opposed to 500. Like, he's a completely different player.
100%.
And his point totals are a direct result of that.
I mean, he's close to a point a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's
41 points in 45 games, but he's only got 14 goals this year. And he's a shooter, right? Like, yeah, he's got good playmaking skills too, but he has, I'd say, the best shot on the team.
one of, for sure. Yeah, top 3, definitely.
It's either him or Toffoli, and I think it's him.
Yeah. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Zadorov has a nice shot too, actually.
In
But yeah,
yeah, right. Where
yeah.
I mean, it's really come on this year, which has
Mm-hmm.
been kind of pleasant to watch. He's been in my opinion, he's been one of the bright spots on the team. I've really enjoyed his time when he's joining the rush. He's really engaged this year, which I do like seeing, and he's being physical, in my opinion, at the right time. He's laid a few guys out. There was
He's not getting out of position. Like, remember when we first got him,
Mhm.
and even for the first like half season, that he was here, he did he
Yeah,
got out of position, and that's like in order to make a big hit. And now he makes the big hit that's there instead of chasing it,
that's right. Yeah,
right? And
and
it's huge. It's way better. He made just an awful play the other night. I don't know
yeah,
why he was out on the power play, but he was out on the power play and he went to skate the puck behind the net. He lost the puck and then he just kind of stood there and watched the
yeah,
play
right.
unfold. And
Yeah,
Ben scored shorthanded, I believe.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
if I have that goal right, I believe it was Ben's goal,
The
shorthanded.
shorthanded. Yeah, would it was that his second one?
I
Because
think
then,
that was the one that started the almost comeback. I could be wrong, but anyways, he did. Like I said, and like you said, he's much better defensively. I think he's earning his contract this year.
I think
So,
he is too. I mean, I was reminded on a daily basis by you and Greg. Greg, I know you're going to watch this, and I'm calling you out about Zadorov and being out of position and whatnot. And I always fought back a little bit because I mean there were a couple times, but it wasn't as egregious as I believe you and Greg were making it out to be. It did happen. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but
it was really, really bad while he was in Colorado, and I think he
right.
got a little better while he was in Chicago, and then it's gradually gotten better since then. Like, what is he, a 26 year old or 27-year-old or
Yeah,
something like?
which is natural progression, right? As you
Yeah.
get older, you mature. You have a few different coaches telling you what to do and how to defend properly, how to be part of the system. So it's natural that like Dion Phaneuf was the same. Not that he really progressed into anything great or good, um, but it's
He regressed. Like, he went
yeah,
from like
he
he
did.
at the age where you should be, reaching your prime, he kind of just tanked.
Yeah,
He just like got bad and then went to the Leafs and they made him captain for some reason.
that was a pretty bizarre move.
Yeah.
Phaneuf. I mean, I still have his jersey. It doesn't come out obviously for reasons, but yeah, I mean, I was a huge Phaneuf fan from the draft in his first couple of years. The kid
Oh yeah.
was going to be a stud, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he was the same way, out of position a lot, trying to make that booming hit. Which I mean, he made a lot of them, but I'd say 50, maybe 60% of the time, the play itself was sacrificed just so Dion can make a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Where I know Zadorov was definitely really, really bad for it in Colorado. So I guess that's defending Greg a little bit. Um, but I mean, he's looking much, much better this year. Much, much better.
Oh
He
yeah, for sure.
he's the only one that really seems to be better than last year, right? Other than I'll give Dubé for a stretch. I'm not necessarily
Rasmus as well, probably.
Rasmus has been pretty good too.
And you're right, Dubé's not been great lately, but he had that stretch where he played the best hockey of his career, like hands
Yeah,
down, right?
yeah, and
Like the last four
I
or
think
five,
having the
three, four.
conversation that we're gonna have in a little bit about lines and things like that. I mean, I've got a couple of opinions when it comes to that. If you can believe it, my name's Chris, and I've got a couple of opinions.
you should you should get a little like thought bubble that you can put that up, and then it gets me to shut up, and then you can talk. My name is Chris, and I have an
I
opinion.
have
Just
an
put it
opinion.
up above your head, and then I see it, and then I know you've got something to say.
You know, Zoom actually introduced a whole bunch of different apps in the latest update, apparently, that I haven't gone through yet. I just noticed when I opened it up there 30 minutes ago. So I'll have a look at it. Maybe that's one of the options. I can just type in, shut the fuck up for a second, let me talk, or whatever.
That'd be funny. But yeah, to me, it seems like as a whole, like we can go through all of these games, but I don't think it's really worth it this time around. It's just,
I mean,
it's just been really hard to watch. Like you have a game or two where you're excited and you're like, okay, they can really build off this, and then they just do the complete opposite and play horrible hockey for a couple games. It's just like, which one are you? Like you were saying earlier, which are you just this middling team again? Like, come on.
Yeah. Well, that's right. I mean, they went, in this 4-game segment that we're talking about, they went 4 goals against St. Louis and then hammered 6 very quickly against Dallas.
Mm-hmm. Best,
and then
best team in the West, I think.
That's right. And then they essentially midway through the second period, that was it.
Yeah, it's all good.
They forgot how to play hockey. They forgot how to score goals, because in the next 2 games it was 1 goal, 1 goal.
Yep.
Like obviously we're going to lose games. I mean, it can't, not saying losing games isn't Markstrom's fault, but it's also not Markstrom's fault.
So that's something I want. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah,
because I totally agree with that. I've been defending Markstrom the last month or so because I thought he's been a lot better of late than he was at the start of the year.
Absolutely. Mid December, he really kind of started making a change there for the better. Like his save percentage is better, his goals against average is better. His not allowing the first shot in is better. Now it's the third.
Yeah.
Second to fourth shot. Yeah.
And like, I think one of those goals in Colorado was pretty bad, but like the rest of them, I thought were nice plays, and like, but at the same time, there comes a point where the team can't score, but Markstrom has to make the save, right? Like, I'm not saying that losing is his fault, because I don't think it's his fault. I think if they were playing well and they lost, like they were at in the end of October or whatever, then that was his fault, right?
Yeah.
But now it's both of their fault. He can't make he makes really nice saves, but he doesn't make the fucking easy ones anymore. And when he does, he bobbles them and lets out rebounds, and he's got to get his head back in order, in my mind. But the rest of the team has to, like, we won 6-5 and 4-1, but before that, it's like a bunch of 2-goal games, a 1-goal game, another 1-goal game. Like, we don't score enough. The team has to score, but Markstrom also has to make the save. Like, we're missing goaltending, we're missing defense, and like the defense in front of him is fucking horrible. But he's still got to make some saves, right?
That's right.
The offense is just as bad as the defense. Like, the team is just not gelling at all.
No, they're not. And I mean, is it a situation, because I do understand the stats that the team in general scores more goals when Vladar's in net opposed to when Markstrom's in net. And I'm wondering if some of that is a mentality that
they have more confidence.
Well, yeah, they have more confidence with Vladar to push forward instead of hanging back and trying to make sure things are 100% on the passes, and that's when they really start messing up, right? Is when
like they overthink in front of Markstrom more instead of just letting their instincts.
That's right.
Do the thing that they're supposed to do, right?
Yeah, I agree 100%. That, I mean, there's clearly something that is different between playing in front of Vladar versus Markstrom. There's clearly something. right?
100%.
But I mean, like even like if you look at so far this month, right? 2 goals, 4 goals, 3 goals, 3 goals, 4 goals, 6 goals, 1 goal, 1 goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we
And the
scored a
sixth
lot of
goal
goals.
was, what's that?
We scored a lot of goals this month, but you know, not a great record in spite of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it's not bad. It's just probably more doom and gloom thinking about the last 2 games, but yeah,
The
it's
last two were really, really hard to watch, and those are two teams you needed to beat. Like
mhm. Yeah,
beating Colorado would have been huge for the standings, right? Like where we are right now.
yeah,
Colorado, I don't have the standings in front of me, but Colorado is like right on our tails and has a couple of games in hand.
well, that's right. And for the last number of years, we've actually done very good against Colorado.
Yeah, it hasn't been bad ever since that playoff series.
Yeah,
They kind of smartened up against Colorado.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're we're 2 points ahead of Colorado right now, and they've got 3 games in hand.
Yeah, like that's
That can't happen.
and I think
Like
Edmonton
last
just
night
won
can't
as
happen.
well. So
Yeah,
like
no, it's the second intermission 3-3.
oh, it's 3-3 now. The
Yeah,
last I checked, it was 3-0.
yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
Tampa's coming on strong in the or came on strong in the second. So we'll see how
Okay.
that plays out. So
That's good. Hopefully
I've never cheered for Tampa before in my life. I'm not necessarily cheering for Tampa now. I'm just cheering against the Oilers. There's a difference.
um yeah, I don't know. It's like they're living in some sort of virtual reality or something when it comes to not being able to have any sort of stretch of decent play for more than a game or two, or even like a game and a half, honestly.
Absolutely, I
Right.
agree. And you know what? I mean, speaking of virtual reality, have you heard of zero latency?
I have.
You have. It's a really, really sweet establishment in Calgary, located at 6940 Fisher Road, Southeast. Um, they are leading technology as far as virtual reality gaming in Calgary. It's unbelievable. You can go there. They've got, and they also have a bunch of big screen TVs. You can watch Flames games when you're there. I know the owners personally, and they are huge Flames fans. You can also stop by on Sunday because I can guarantee you all the NFL games are going to be on TV because they're also NFL fans. Um, anyways, and next time you're looking for something to do with some friends or some coworkers, some time away to reconnect with others, I highly recommend zero latency. Check them out at zlontilt.ca or follow them on the socials, right?
Yeah. Our
Instagram and
link, the
Facebook.
link will be down in the description.
Yeah, absolutely.
um I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we can get down there. I'm coming down to Calgary on the 25th, or sorry, the 26th for the Chicago game, and hoping that we can get some time in at zero latency. I'm really interested to check it out. Sounds like a blast.
Yeah, it's a really cool establishment.
Mm.
I can't believe you're not coming a couple days earlier so you can boo Johnny when he gets here.
I was thinking about it, but I work the day before that, and my mom will be in town, so I'll be hanging out with her.
Gotta have mom time.
Oh yeah,
Gotta have mom time. I know that all too well.
yeah. Um. Anyways, moving on. Maybe we should talk a little bit about the lines, the pairings.
Lines and the
I think
pairings.
we're both kind of. Let's start off with the Vladar thing because we were just kind of on that a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's not because I think that Markstrom is going to have to be your goalie down the stretch, and he's going to have to be the best like he's gonna give you your best chance to make the playoffs and make a run in the playoffs. However, right now, the team is better in front of him. They have more confidence in front of him, and he is playing better than Markstrom. So
Right.
I don't specifically think that it's time to give Vladar the starter's job, as in like, all of a sudden Vladar is going to start 9 out of 10 games. I think that's not the right way to go about it.
No.
I think that treating the next couple weeks, like we've got Tampa, Chicago, Seattle, Columbus, just to name a few, like including a back-to-back Chicago and Seattle. So I think it's probably more like, give Vladar 2 to Markstrom's 1 is how I would handle it if I were the coach, which I'm not. But because you can't let Markstrom rot on the bench either, right?
No, I agree. I mean, I personally think right now they need to do closer to a 1A, 1B at the moment, and do a very simple system that's been going around in sports.
Winning, you're in.
Winning, you're in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Have a shitty game. All right, sit it out.
What about if it's what about if you let, a 6-1 lead dissipate to 6-5? Are you still in the next game because you've won?
Yes.
All right. See, I think that I wouldn't do it like that. I would say
I
play very well and you're in, or win and you're in, unless you like actually didn't play good.
I think throwing caveats on winning you're in is a mistake. I think that it was a full collapse from the entire organization for the last 30 minutes of the game. 25 for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
I'm not saying Vladar did well in that third period, because he did not.
No. Again, the same thing with what we've been saying about Markstrom, right? Is the team sucked, but still got to make the saves.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. And I agree.
If you let 2 in there, that's one thing, but you let it get to 6-5,
Yeah, because it was
as a team.
It was 2-6 going into the third.
Yeah. 6-2, I believe. Yeah. But I think the let me look at it, but I believe the last goal, or sorry, the 6-2 goal went in right at the end. Let me see. The 6-2 goal went in with like 45 seconds left in the second period.
Yeah, from Sagan.
Yeah. So that's still basically letting in 4 goals in a period in 45 seconds.
Well, that's right. Yeah, 4 unanswered goals, right?
Yeah,
that's what that is.
Yeah.
And thankfully we were able to sustain it, given there was
not very well.
No, not well, but there was over 4.5 minutes left in that third period at 6-5, right? So that's terrifying territory in my opinion.
And they were pouring it on, and the Flames had no answer. Like I think it was Rudy on the broadcast was just absolutely giving the Flames all the credit in the world for holding it at 6-5, and I was like, they did not play well for the last 4 minutes either. Like,
well, so that kind of comes down to your question on, because we almost let the lead go away. Vladar looked pretty good in that last 4 minutes.
That he did. I'll give you that. Yeah.
So I think having 4 unanswered scored on him kind of woke him up a bit. And that's part of the reason why I think, because they still got the win, and then he did get back to life to finish the game and hold us into that, because I mean the players were not holding us in that game at all.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
So
Okay. I mean, I honestly I could get on board with winning you're in. I could get on board with 2 for Vladar and 1 for Markstrom for a couple weeks. I could get on board for a 50-50 split even. I just think that Markstrom needs to have a few less starts over the next couple and like leaning more towards the Vladar side of getting more starts.
Well, that's right,
because we need points.
I don't fully buy into your initial comment on the goaltending that we need Markstrom to be there to A, make the playoffs, B, make any sort of run in the playoffs. How many times have we seen the rookie or the young goaltender come in and take over and win Stanley Cups? Not saying that that's what the Flames are going to do,
like Matt Murray or whatever.
That's right.
Jordan Binnington,
or how about
both really bad goaltenders now, but that's besides the point.
How about the Flames organization when Smith was here, right? We weren't going to make the playoffs until Riddick started standing on his head for a couple of weeks and got us into the playoffs, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We if Smith was still in net, we weren't making playoffs that year.
No.
I mean, we didn't do well in the playoffs. Granted, Smith went back into net.
Yeah. Which was stupid.
Really, really stupid.
And then they did the same thing to Riddick the next year with Talbot.
Yeah.
And I believe me, I'm a huge Talbot fan, and I think that he did good there, but I don't think that I think Riddick deserved the starts at least to start the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. He earned it and deserved it, in my opinion. And
what a rewind topic,
right? and I think personally, I think Riddick was done dirty in Calgary. I really do too.
I think both him and Talbot kind of were.
Talbot too. Yeah,
I think that tandem could have been really good for years.
I agree.
Right? I really think that sorry, go ahead.
I do agree with you. I'm a big Talbot fan and supporter, and the season that he had, and then we just kind of at the end of the year piss off, come on. And then and then same thing happened with David at the same time, right?
And it was because Talbot wanted to be the starter. That's why he came to Calgary. He thought he was going to be the starter, and then it kind of was more of a 1A 1B thing.
Yeah.
And then he kind of was like, well, I will resign if you give me the confidence of saying, I'm the starter, but they wouldn't do that because they had whoever they had at the time, which was Riddick, I think.
It was Riddick, right?
Yeah.
And at most it should have been, or most best, however we want to call it should have been 1A 1B. I still would have put Talbot in as maybe a 60% to Riddick 40.
Yeah. And I think that would have kept both guys happy, honestly.
I think so too. So then he goes to Minnesota, and what do? Bring in Flower. Fuck.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cam, you're out again. So stupid.
He's getting most of the starts now in Ottawa, but he's got no defense in front of him at all. So it's like Thomas Chabot playing 70 minutes a game, and then nobody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, maybe we should take a little break to talk about the DraftKings.
Let's talk DraftKings, and we'll come back and we'll discuss some more lines. Like it. The NFL playoff action continues. We're one step closer to Super Bowl 57, and for the NFL divisional round, check out DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. Plus, all new and existing customers can take a shot at an even bigger payout with DraftKings Stepped Up Same Game Parlay. Boost your NFL winnings. With each leg, you add up to 100%. I can't wait for Sunday. My Niners are taking on the Cowboys. It's going to be one heck of a game. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. New customers can bet $5 on the NFL divisional round and get 200 in free bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. Minimum age, some restrictions apply. See the show notes for details.
Well, I think it's time to talk about the lines. Let's talk about the forward lines first. It's been, I think both of us have said it quite a few times over the last, I don't know, ever since Lucic got put on that second line, quote unquote second line. If it's working, why mess with it?
Yeah.
It stopped working.
It stopped working a few games ago.
Yeah. So as much as I've been, a pro keep Lucic their guy because it was working, it stopped working. And that should not have a long leash at all. That should have been changed already.
Yeah, absolutely. After coming back from injury and then being rewarded with that, there is a resurgence in Luch for sure.
Yeah.
He was all over the place. He was hitting again. He was actually being a playmaker, which is like it looked really good for I'm going to say 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you're right, and then it just fizzled, and they're not producing anymore, and and he's just not the guy for that line, unfortunately.
No,
and no fault of his own.
Yeah. That being said, I'm actually not that I'm a plus minus truther or anything like that, but Nazem Kadri actually is the worst plus minus player on the team at -7.
It does not surprise me.
And like Huberdeau's even, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that says a lot. Actually, no, he's a +1.
Yeah.
But again, like I don't really care that much about that stat usually, but it kind of speaks volumes sometimes. You know what I mean?
I think it speaks volumes when the offense is not happening.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like don't be on the wrong side of that stat when you're not producing yourself.
Exactly.
Obviously it's harder to be on the wrong side of that stat when you are producing, but if you're not going to score, you better at least be able to defend. Ask Michael Backlund. He'll tell you.
Yeah. He's a +7, right?
Exactly. How many points does Backlund have right now?
24.
It's pretty respectable for number 11.
Yeah, he's on pace for 45-ish points probably.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. I'm
on
pace for 18 goals, 17 goals. That's pretty much Backlund stat line.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. You said +7?
Yeah.
So +7, plus he plays second power play and first penalty kill. He does it all, right?
The only guy who's got a bigger plus on the team than Backlund is Zadorov, who has a 10.
Fucking hell.
Right?
That's amazing.
I know. It makes no sense because you see him every once in a while, you see him make a boneheaded move, and you're like, how is this guy the best plus minus player on the team?
I would never have guessed that.
Yeah.
I would never have guessed it. That's amazing.
11 points +10.
He's doing it right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Had a boy, Big Z.
Yeah. Stone's actually a +5, but we'll get to the defense in a bit. But so yes, I think that it's definitely time to move Luch back down to the fourth line. I don't know if it would, make Walker Dewar the odd man out on that line, or what would happen. Who would you move up, and would you keep Kadri and Huberdeau together?
Personally, myself, I want to see. I want to see Dubé get paired up with Kadri again.
That was a really good pairing.
It was, and quite frankly, I think that Dubé on the first line with Toffoli and Lindholm, or the line with Toffoli and Lindholm,
Same thing with the
is
Lucic thing. It's run its course.
it. I think that one ran its course after a week.
Maybe a little bit longer, but yeah,
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, like I mean, it started out really fresh. It was nice. It was good. Right now, Toffoli's getting all his points on the power play.
Yeah,
there's no offense to Dylan. He's not a playmaker, and
no,
both of the players on that line that he's playing with require a playmaker.
yeah.
And that's
You want to try Huberdeau again?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
even though it was a disaster for a while.
I mean, it was a disaster for a while. I think there was other things happening in that situation. I think now that they've had more time on the power play together, because he is playing with those guys. I believe if we can get Huberdeau playing the playmaker role as well as willing to shoot,
Yeah,
and keep Lindholm digging out front and Toffoli sniping from the hash marks, I think it would be a productive line.
I agree with that. I'm just gonna quickly talk about Huberdeau for a second. In general, I really like what he brings.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a fan, and I know that he's not producing as much as people would like. But the only thing that he really does that bothers me, like his defense has gotten a lot better. His offensive instinct is starting to show more and more. But the thing that really, really bothers me, and I cannot believe we went from a guy who tried between the leg shots too much to a guy that's trying between the leg no look passes too much. And that is driving me fucking crazy.
No look passes are one of the things that pisses me off more than anything else in hockey. When it works, it looks amazing.
When it doesn't, you look like a fucking idiot.
It works 5% of the time.
Yeah.
Maybe 10. Right.
And you need chemistry with the people you're playing with. And
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You need to do that when you're on the ice with a guy or two guys you've been playing with for 3 years.
Yeah.
And and I agree. It's very frustrating. His breakout pass out of our zone is terrible. Terrible.
I'd like to see him
he doesn't
carry
know
it out of the zone.
Why not? He's very good at controlling the puck.
And when he loses it, he's good at getting it back.
Yeah.
He's gotten a lot better at it anyways.
Well, and he's strong on the puck. He's strong
He's
when
really
he has
strong on the boards. I didn't realize that.
He is. Yeah. He's not. He doesn't shy away from being physical. He's really good at taking the puck away from you in the corners.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I agree. He needs to start skating up the ice with the puck. Create the play in the neutral zone, or create the play as you're going across the blue line.
So you want to see Lindholm with Toffoli and Huberdeau and Kadri with Dubé and who?
Either Ruzicka or Dewar.
I think Ruzicka needs a scratch.
That's fair. I think he needs to get off the fourth line, personally.
Yes, but he also needs to fucking try harder when he's on the fourth line.
Agreed.
Like he's been good. He had that really good stretch when he was getting the ice time, and then Huberdeau came back from that injury and he got moved down a line and he sulked about it, and then he stopped trying hard and he never got that try hard back. Like he would be a guy who would move up. He's strong on the boards. He can grind. He can do all that type of stuff, but he doesn't. he's not doing it, not because he
Yeah.
can't, but because he just stopped giving a fuck, it seems.
Yeah, I think Daryl. I think if we can put him up there, playing with Dubé and Kadri, I think Daryl needs to sit him down and tell him point blank, you're there. You've got a short leash. If you're not going to put forth the effort, you're going to be either eating popcorn or on the fourth, or you'll trade with Dewar or somebody else, and just let him know straight up. Either you put forth the effort or you're not going to be there.
I would be down with doing that against Tampa.
Yeah.
I'd like to see if he, if it works out, then keep him there until he stops giving a fuck again.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't work out, I think for the next stretch of games, I really like Dewar, but I think Dewar's ceiling is a bottom six.
Bottom
winger.
six. Yeah, I agree.
Just because of his play style, like he wasn't even in the top six in on the Wranglers. Right. Because that's the game he plays, is just the bottom six type of game.
That's right. He plays a hard game, so he plays a Sutter style, right? So I can see why they brought him up and why they actually gave him
with
the
Richie,
opportunity
right?
to play with Richie gone, because he's the perfect replacement for that.
Exactly.
I honestly wouldn't be upset if Russ got a night off or an afternoon off, I guess, if you're talking about Tampa, and we see Peltz in there in that same spot with Kadri and Dubé.
That's what I was going to say. I don't want to see that in Tampa, honestly.
No,
I would rather see Rosiska get that shot you were talking about in Tampa, but if it doesn't work, then he gets scratched and Peltier gets put on the second line for a couple game stretch at least to see.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that, right? Keep Russ on that line because he is better defensively, as far as I know, than Peltz is. And then I think even if he plays okay-ish, you still do it and put Peltz in against Columbus and Chicago.
On the second line?
Yeah.
Then what do you do with Rosiska?
That's what I'm saying. Let him watch a couple of games during that time.
Oh, even if he plays good?
No, I mean, if he's a standout, then you have to keep him there. If he just plays and plays okay, then I think that's when you do that.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like that. But yeah, I do think that like as much as Peltier is, a young guy and Sutter's not going to give him a huge role and probably shouldn't, honestly, it would be nice to see. I
mean, I'd rather see
we need
Peltier
something.
than Phillips.
We need a spark of some sort. And
that's right.
It's unfair to ask a 21-year-old in his first game to be a spark for the whole team. Right?
I mean, it is and it isn't, right? It's very common practice to bring in somebody young like that has the energy and has, hopefully the desire to make the NHL, right?
Yeah.
That youth might bleed off into the rest of the players. You don't know.
That would be awesome. And apparently he has a really good attitude and like, I think that's one thing that the team is missing right now.
Yeah.
Is happiness, like we were talking about earlier. Like,
that's right.
Just being happy to come to the rink. And if sometimes just one guy can, like you said, make it bleed into the rest of the people, right? If
it's got to start somewhere, right? I mean, if it's not going to be from one guy, then we don't have a chance, because it's not like we're going to be bringing in a couple of guys to play anything.
And I know that this is, a massive sidetrack, but whether it's happiness or just like overall emotion on the ice, this team really, really misses Matthew Tkachuk.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that. And I know that his playoff no shows notwithstanding, this team is fucking boring without what he brought.
There's no scrums after the whistles. There's no antics.
Standing up for each other. There's
there's nothing, right?
Zadorov does sometimes, but that's like then he's the only guy there. Like
that's right. And Zadorov isn't a fighter. He's not a fighter. He's just big, right?
Yeah.
So he can make people back down because of his size. But if anybody was to actually stand up to him, Zadorov would be in trouble, right? Because he's not a very good fighter.
Yeah.
So it's, you're right. There's no emotion. There's nothing there on 4 lines.
Yeah.
And 6 D-men.
Exactly. I would keep that 4th line the same, obviously, with Luch going down. But Lewis is like the absolute model forward right now, I think, on the whole team, which is, I mean, he has been for a few years. He's so good at what he does. He shouldn't be. We shouldn't be coming out of games saying Lewis was our best forward. Absolutely. And it's happening a lot. And I don't get me wrong, great for Lewis, but it means the rest of the 11 guys aren't doing their job, because he's a guy who should be like, PK2 and 4th line, which he is. But he's, when that's the guy that stands out, when you have star players that
when you have a Lindholm, when you have a Kadri, when you have a Huberdeau, and Lewis is the standout of the game, that's an issue. No offense to Lewis, because I mean, like, you and I both really like what he brings to the table, like, and have for a number of years.
Yeah, power play goal,
right? And I mean, it's a sad situation where, when, in my opinion, Lewis is the only untouchable as far as line movement. Like, he's not going to be watching games from the press box.
Oh, fuck no.
I don't want him on this second line with Kadri, or whatever you want to label the lines as. I want him in the role that he's playing, because that's what he's suited to do, and he does it very well.
Him, Backlund, and Tanev, I want to say, are the 3 guys who come to play every single game, never have a game off, and are the model of consistency.
Yeah, I agree. Once we get into the defenseman, though,
Coleman,
I do have something I want to say, something about Tanev.
Okay, well, we'll get into that in a second. I'm assuming you're leaving the Mangiapane, Backlund, Coleman line together.
I am. Yeah.
I wish we had a better option than Mangiapane, but that's the best place for him. I think both you and I have said it for a few years. He's a 3rd liner. He produces and plays best when he's on a 3rd line. He sucks when he's on the 2nd line.
Yep.
And then he gets moved down, and then he starts playing well again. So keep him there.
Kind of like what happened again this year, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Last year he was getting a bunch of points on the 3rd line and moved up to the 2nd, and his point production fell down.
I did want to mention something. You were talking about Peltier there. You didn't you said you didn't know how he was defensively. That's one of the hallmarks of his game, which is really weird coming out of the QMJHL, because that's an insanely offensive league. But he's one of the hallmarks of his game is 200-foot type of game. Yeah. Now, if that translates to the NHL with bigger, more skilled,
that's what I was referring to, is at this level for sure. But yeah, I knew that was kind of his write up at the draft, that he was very, very good at 200 feet of hockey, which is great. Which is, I mean, that's the types of players that I want on my team, anyways.
Yeah,
and personally, that's what kind of surprises me. I mean, if Phillips not getting it, he got what, 2 games?
Yeah,
2 games. Played less than 5 minutes a game. Yeah. Okay, well,
he played like 9 minutes a game.
Average 9, but that's fine. 1 shot in 2 games. I'm surprised that Peltier hasn't been given an opportunity to play in a game for as long as he's been here, being how Phillips got the opportunity to play.
Did you hear what Sutter said?
Which time? I've heard a lot of stuff about what Sutter's been saying the last 3-4 days.
Yeah. So he had a really glowing review overall of Peltier and what he brings in practice and all that type of stuff, and how he's been playing in the AHL and all that type of stuff. And he said he really wants to bring him in and really compares him to a more sturdy Mangiapane, which is good.
Well, hallelujah.
But one thing, what he did say is, we're not 10 points up and we're not 10 points out. So I really want to get him in, but I don't know if there's a spot right now.
Yeah,
Which
I mean, that's
kind of makes
fair.
sense, but at the same time, we need both offense and a spark. So
We're pretty much in the same spot we are now when Phillips was getting a shot.
yeah, I think that was, honestly, I
it,
think that was like Brad putting his foot down and being like,
it,
come the fuck.
it may have been Brad putting his foot down, or potentially Phillips ruined it for anybody else.
Yeah, that too.
Right? I mean, he looked like ass.
He was not good. Like,
No.
not even fucking slightly good.
He was yeah, he wasn't okay. He was bad.
Yeah.
And he's in the AHL where he belongs. Simple as that.
Yeah.
But I just really hope that didn't ruin a chance for Peltier to at least slot in a game in the next, a week. I think honestly against a Columbus or Chicago, I think that's the perfect time.
I think that it would be really good to have him maybe not on a line, but on a bench with Huberdeau, because last I checked, now he's played, half a season or whatever in the AHL since then. Mm-hmm. But like interviews over last summer after his first season, his English is still really not good, really rough. Mm-hmm. So I think that having Huberdeau is gonna help a lot.
Yeah, it could very well.
Peltier.
Yeah, could very well. That's a good point. I mean, it'd be difficult to play in a Western team when that language barrier is a thing, right?
Mm-hmm. It's no different than I can't think of any examples right now, but sometimes teams will sign a free agent that's like Swedish just for the fourth line or whatever, or because they have a young prospect who's Swedish whose English is rough, right?
Yeah, no, exactly, and that's why it was kind of cool with how many Swedes we have on the Flames, right?
Yeah,
so that language barrier is that much better, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to have that situation where somebody feels like the odd man out,
absolutely.
Nikita might feel that, but he doesn't seem to express it.
Well, his English isn't bad.
No, that's true.
Right?
I mean, I wonder.
Last I checked, Peltier's English was bad.
Yeah, I mean, that'll come down to length of time. Right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Anyways, shall we move on to the defense?
Sure.
Let's start with Tanev because I'm intrigued.
I've been very disappointed in his game recently.
Really?
Not necessarily. That's probably. I'm going to actually retract that a little bit. I'm gonna remove the very. I've been disappointed in his game recently between the neutral zone and the offensive zone.
Like just in center ice?
Center ice and at the blue line. I think he's had a hard time keeping the puck in the zone, and I think he panics when the puck is on his stick.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I haven't noticed that.
I noticed it, I'm going to say 3-4 times last night against Colorado, that as soon as the puck got on his, like he it's almost like he didn't know what to do with it. And so like I was like, oh Jesus, get rid of it. Like if you don't know what to do with it, get rid of it. Like get it along the boards and move on. But he was trying to create himself a lane to shoot. I don't want him creating a lane to shoot.
I don't care about that.
No, if he doesn't have
Do you think it
a
was after he got
obvious,
that goal in what ended up being the game winner, the sixth goal in Dallas? Do you think he just
thinks he's
decided he
this,
wanted to start
yeah,
shooting more?
he thinks he's an offensive guy now. Yeah, maybe because I did notice it with the Nashville game as well.
I'm gonna have to
Mm,
pay more attention to
mm.
that because um maybe it's just my bias, but I tend to see Tanev has the puck and start looking elsewhere because I'm just not worried about it.
I agree,
Yeah.
100%. I agree. I when it's in our zone, I worry less. But I was, and I'm not worried when he has the puck in the offensive zone. It's just it looked awkward,
Yeah.
and he didn't have a clear idea of what to do once he got the puck, and
So
which is weird to me from a professional player.
I'm just gonna double check this before I say it. I think that him and it doesn't say. I think him and Uyghur right shot and Tanev is a right shot. Yeah, so
Right.
they're both right shots.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be part of the awkwardness. Maybe he's covering the wrong his offside and he's not used to doing that, whereas Uyghur is. But if
Well,
sometimes they switch.
I was gonna say, like looking back at the Colorado, two times that I can remember vividly, he was on the right side. So stick along the boards.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, I'm not sure what it was. It just to me it looked weird, and I wasn't happy with his confidence with it when it came to the puck. I
Yeah.
don't obviously I don't have an issue with him in our zone defending. I mean he's steady as a rock, always has been, and I'm not worried about him there. But I I found in the last couple of games he's really struggled to keep the puck in the zone and look comfortable being in the play.
I wonder if he's trying to do too much because
Could
we
be.
need offense.
It could very well be. And then, once you score a goal, you kind of get the taste for it and you want to score more, and it could very well be. But I mean, I would think and or hope that he has more intelligence than that, right? He's a veteran. He shouldn't allow that to affect his game.
So what do you think about that pairing?
I don't mind it. I'm not as down on Uyghur as a lot of people are.
Yeah, me neither.
I
He
I
makes he makes the odd boneheaded
right.
pizza play, but
Yeah. I mean, so do you know
everybody else.
28 other people on the ice, right?
Yeah.
Like how many times have we seen boneheaded plays from every single player? It's this year has been a weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really enjoying his physical play. That's something I didn't realize he had in him, but he makes some really good hits. Like really, really good
Yeah.
hits.
No,
And
absolutely.
timely hits too. Then they're noticeable and I like that. Um
Truculent.
Truculent. See? Brian Burke would love him.
Mm-hmm. And I agree. And he's not even like he's not a big guy in NHL
No, he's not.
circles, right? He just knows the right time to make hits, and I think he does quite a good job of it. And I know I've spent a whole lot of time talking about his comparisons to Brody as far as the stretch pass and
Yeah.
um
The active stick.
the zone exits, and honestly even the pinching like in behind the net and stuff like that. Like I think that he's got a lot better, and I don't have any problems really with Uyghur. Like every once in a while, like I said, you see that, oh, why did he throw? But it's the same with Brody, right? Like you see
Yeah.
every once in a while the throw up the middle of the ice right to the opponent's stick, and it's just kind of like, ugh.
Yeah. Oh no.
But but without having Gaudreau, you need a way to get the puck through the through faster, right?
That's right.
Because you don't have that exit pass that we used to have, and I think he's good at it, and I like the pairing. I'll have to pay more attention to Tanev a little bit because I haven't really noticed that, but
Yeah, it was concerning to me, or more noticeable to me in the last couple of games. So you mean it's funny because you made the comment after the goal that he scored, so that makes a ton of sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny they both only have one goal on the season.
Yeah, they're not paid to score goals.
No, I think that took Uyghur a little bit too long to figure out.
Yeah.
Because coming from Florida, where everybody's paid to score goals,
That's right.
um,
That's the only way we can get people in the building is if everybody scores goals.
yeah, and then we're still only getting like 30 people in the building.
Right.
So let's talk about the Anderson Hannafin pair.
The one thing for me, and this is how I've always described good defense. When you don't talk about them, they're just strong. They're not making a lot of mistakes at all, on both ends of the ice. Hannafin, I think, is having a very strong year defensively. I think he looks much better than he has in years past. He seems to be buckling down on understanding his position, opposed to, wanting to streak up the ice every third play and things like that. I have been impressed with Hannafin. I've always been a reasonable Hannafin supporter, but this year I'm liking what I'm seeing out of him. I think him and Anderson continues to improve, which is really good. And I think next year they're going to be one of the top pairings in the league.
Are you at all worried about what extension Hannafin might get?
And it's probably going to end up making 5.5 to 6, isn't it?
Probably more.
Think so?
I think he's probably around 7. I don't agree with it, but that's my prediction.
Yeah. I suppose if it comes down to that number, then yeah, I am worried about it and I wouldn't pay it.
I like the pairing. I think they've been really good for most of the year. The last week or so, they haven't, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Given the whole team's kind of been really bad. But I've noticed lots of gaffes, and whether it's something as easy as the puck bouncing over their stick but not going backwards. And I'm a huge Rasmus fan. Always have been. I think that both of them have struggled over the last week or so. There's no way I'm breaking it up. But
no.
Because they are so good, and Hannafin had the best month of hockey he's ever had. Last month, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But this month has been a little more rough for both of them.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment. You're right. They have, but everybody, the whole team has looked bad for a while.
There was a game and a half. There was the St. Louis game and then half of the Dallas game that the team looked good. And other than that, it's been a pretty rough month of watching hockey.
Which is funny, because we how do we go? We lost, we won, lost in OT, lost in OT, and then so yeah.
We've already spent a lot of time talking about Zadorov.
Yeah. I do want to make one comment because I actually we have a tailgate meeting every morning with my technicians. We chit chat about whatever. It mostly comes around to hockey. Sorry, boss. It's not always work. one thing that I kind of jokingly said that he Zadorov, when he's streaking up the ice and he's going for his lap, as I call it, right? I want to point out how
He
much
does that.
like he looks like Bambi on ice, or what I described him as, a moose on skates.
He looks so fucking awkward,
It's so awkward.
but
Yeah,
he's so quick,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like he's got to be the fastest big man in the league.
Yeah, for his size, yeah, he rips around pretty good.
Yeah.
Like when he's coming up and he does that lap, it takes him like no time to get back to that corner. Like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I had to break it up for that because it really made me chuckle. I noticed it. I said it to my wife last week or the week before. I was watching the game and I was like, man, look at him go. He just looks so awkward on skates, but he's quick.
No, it's true. And again, just like everybody else, the odd pizza or the odd bad play. That one play in Dallas was just horrific, but
right.
He's just keeps getting better. Him and Rasmus both keep getting better. I don't think Zadorov's he had that one bad play, but I don't think he's had the bad month that the rest of the team has.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Which is funny because his partner's been fucking horrific.
Right. He really has. And it's funny when you talk about that bad play, because that was the first goal that they scored, that Dallas scored. That was in the first period near the end. Then we scored 4 goals after. So it wasn't the start of the collapse by any means, but it was still pretty egregious. It was atrocious, that play.
That was just bad.
Yeah.
But yeah. Michael Stone. I mean, I think the only way, because we're not breaking up any of the other pairs, right? So we can't break this pair up unless you're bringing Mackey in or DeSimone or Gilbert or somebody. And I think it's time. I really, really love Michael Stone, but
I think the biggest problem that we're having right now is, for the last 2 years, like previous to this year, Stone has been used to being the 7th guy. So I think he's at the point now where he's kind of becoming out of gas.
Tired. Yeah. Maybe it's time to rotate. It's hard to rotate 3, but maybe it's time to give DeSimone or Gilbert or somebody like that a week.
What's Gilbert's status? Do you know?
He scored a goal the other night. He's back.
Is he back playing?
Yeah.
Is he wearing a face shield? Like,
I have no idea.
I kind of thought he had a broken cheekbone after that.
Oh, maybe he is. But he's playing.
That's
but maybe he's wearing a face shield. Lots of guys, break their noses or break their jaw or whatever. And I know it was in the playoffs and led to a Stanley Cup. But I remember one year, Zdeno Chara had his jaw wired shut for half the playoffs in 2011 and then won.
Which I'm sure was refreshing for the other teams, right? Because he is a bit of a mouthpiece.
Yes. And also, it's a lot less likely he's going to fight.
True. I mean, I'd fight you if I had a face shield.
Yeah.
I'd fight anybody. I don't give a shit.
But what do you think about that? Do you think it might be time to kind of give Stone a week off, and
at least a week off? I honestly think that he's tired.
Yeah. No, I agree with that statement, because what the mistakes he's making,
it's like they're not even just mental mistakes. Like they're it seems like he's making physical mistakes right now. Like I think his body just is not acting the way it's supposed to, right? Or not reacting to the
I agree. And
like it used to.
Just for context for those listening, Chris and I are both huge Michael Stone fans. Of what he brings when he's on. It's just that he's not currently on. The fact that he's +5 actually really surprises me, considering he's been a few weeks of not good.
Yeah,
But
that actually is pretty remarkable because this is definitely a season where he hasn't been as good as the last few.
yeah. Um, and I think it might just do him really good to have Gilbert or DeSimone or whoever, Mackey, who's already up, right? So might as
Mhm.
well. Even though he had a rough tryout there, a few games, but maybe it's time to just have somebody come in and play 3 games and Stone plays one, and then 3 more games and then Stone plays one, and then
Yep.
maybe Stone can play like 5 more after that, and then but like it's got to be more of a rotation because, like you said, Stone is he's a very, very, very good seventh defenseman, and
I
he's
I
proving right now that he's a seventh defenseman.
yeah, yeah, absolutely he is. And I would be okay with that sort of game plan, giving him, numerous games off between now and potentially the playoffs. Because if we're ending the season in a playoff position, I want a rested Michael Stone personally, because I think what he could bring to the table in the playoffs is
His
far,
game is playoffs.
yeah, it's far
Yeah.
superior than Mackey or DeSimone and Gilbert, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not
I
that
wonder
I've
if
been,
he's fighting an injury.
could be, yeah, could very well be. I mean, he's not a spring chicken anymore, right?
No.
I mean, and I mean, the difference, I guess, between him and his brother is he just plays through it, where his brother just would rather collect a check, sitting at home or
Well,
whatever he's
I
doing.
mean, his brother has a degenerative back disease. I think that's a little different.
Oh, right, is that what it is? Did
Yeah.
he catch that from Eichel?
From Eichel. He had that long before that, but yeah,
I don't know.
good
Only
joke.
kidding.
Um, so I think long story short, we want to mix up all of the forward lines other than the third line.
Yep.
We want Vladar to play more than Markstrom, but we still want Markstrom to play every once in a while.
Yep.
Um,
It's funny,
and we
and by
gotta switch
mix up
Stone
the
out.
lines, we want them, like, I want a lot of it to go back to the way it was,
Yeah.
minus one or two players, but not that we were playing incredible hockey, but it it started to come together, in my opinion, and then it didn't for a couple of games, and then that's when things just kind of, as they say, shit hit the fan, and Daryl just went, "That's it." Grabbed his
Well,
players. You sit over here, and you sit over here.
when we came out hot, and I'm gonna probably cite this, every episode or two, but we came out hot, and then we had one bad period against the Oilers,
Right.
and that was when the Mangiapane, Kadri, and Dubé line were together, and the first 5-6 games, whatever it was, they were really like the whole team. Like Huberto wasn't really that good, but the rest of the team was flying,
Yeah.
and everyone was doing good. And then we had one bad period, and Sutter blew it all up, changed everything, and then kept it while it was bad for too long, and then they all lost their chemistry that they previously had.
Yeah.
And that was honestly, to me, that's where the season went downhill.
Yeah, I can see that.
But you have any other thoughts? Or
I don't. I mean, my one thought is, like, they seriously need to get their shit together.
well, yeah, that much I agree with. And they got to start having fun. Maybe they need a fucking train ride. That's why I said
They
in
need to
our
be
group
taken
chat the other day,
to
I
the
was
train
like,
station.
yeah. Well, that's why I said the other day or yesterday when they were playing Colorado, I was like, I hope this game ends 9-1,
Right.
because that was that season when Pittsburgh beat us 9-1 and the season seemed lost, and then we ended up making the playoffs.
Yeah.
that was the game that really took the team to a new level. Like it kicked them in the ass.
That's right. You gotta wake them up, right? Did you
Yeah.
hear Daryl's interview after that game, after the 4-1 last night in Colorado, or at home
Um,
to Colorado?
yeah, but I don't know what you're.
So somebody asked about, you know, the about the loss being 4-1, and Daryl says, some paraphrasing here, you know, don't quote me, something along the lines of, I would rather have lost 9-1.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. And
Oh, I didn't.
as soon as he said it, I'm like, God damn it, Dylan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's. I do think that's a thing where sometimes teams, they start winning when they shouldn't be, when they're playing badly, and then they get really complacent
Yeah.
at that's how you need to play when it's not. Or they're they're losing but they're still in the game,
Yeah.
when really a blowout loss is what they need to kick them in the ass.
Yeah.
And the Flames haven't had a blowout loss, I don't think, this year.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, I guess not, right? I mean, 4-1 is, I mean, it's a blowout, but it's not like nothing worth.
Yeah,
I mean,
like a
just simply
blowout
play
loss
like
to me
ass.
is like a 5 or 6 goal game. I mean, that was a blowout in the sense that the other team was just way fucking better.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a blowout in the fact that, for most of the game it was within reach.
I think losing 3-1 is a blowout to Columbus.
Well, again, the other team showed up and we didn't. Fuck with us. They better fucking win against Columbus and Chicago coming up here, because if they don't, that might be the season, honestly.
Yeah, I would agree. If they can't win those two games handedly, then we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in some serious trouble. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That being said, everybody, I think we're probably going to shut it down. Thanks for tuning in for another episode, the Armchair GM Podcast. Don't forget to share episodes, smash the like button below, comment. We like to interact with everybody. Whether you want to call me out for saying stupid things, whether you want to congratulate Dylan on being right for the first time this calendar year. The year is very early, so I mean it'll be fine.
Also, make sure you let us know what you think the Flames are, what their identity is this season, because interested to see what fans think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're all on the same page at the moment, because it's not looking great, but it could. Just never know. We just need a spark. We just need that Peltier kid to bring us something.
Just save the whole team.
Save the franchise. It might save Daryl and Brad's jobs. Who knows? You never know.
Oh, if that's the case, then let's not play them.
Correct. Thanks for watching, everybody. Dylan and Chris, go Flames.
Cheers.
Go. Cheers.